History has a habit of being more interesting than the version we were given, and geography has a habit of being nothing like what the maps implied. In this video, 15 facts across 3 different worlds, the history that got simplified before it reached us, the space and geography doing things nobody mapped correctly, and the inventions and foods with completely different stories behind their labels. One of these facts is about a war that started and ended before most people finished their morning commute. One is about a monument, one of the most recognizable in the world, that looked completely different for its first 2 decades. And one is about a drink you've probably had this week, whose name is literally a list of its original ingredients, including one quietly removed in 1903. 15 facts, no filler. Starting with the shortest war in recorded history, which, given everything wars usually involve, might be the strangest thing on this list. The shortest war in recorded history lasted 38 minutes. In 1896, Britain and Zanzibar fought, and it was over before most people finished their morning coffee. The Sultan surrendered before 10 a.m. 38 minutes, start to finish. An entire war wrapped up before most people's first meeting of the day. And here's a historical coincidence so precise it reads like it was planned. 2 founding fathers died on the exact same day, 50 years after the Declaration of Independence was signed. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both passed on July 4th, 1826. Adams's last words referenced Jefferson. He had no idea Jefferson had died hours earlier that same day. 2 founding fathers, 1 date, 50 years to the day. History has a way of marking things with more precision than any planner could arrange. Here's one more event where the numbers tell the story. The storming of the Bastille, one of history's most iconic revolts, freed only 7 prisoners. 4 forgers, 2 men deemed insane, and 1 accused of a sexual offense. That's everyone who walked out. The Bastille wasn't about how many people it held. It was about what the building represented. 7 prisoners. One of history's most iconic revolutions. The symbol always mattered more than the number. And some of the most iconic symbols carry a different story in their physical appearance than we ever notice. The Statue of Liberty wasn't always green. When it was unveiled in 1886, it was shiny copper brown. Over the next 20 years, oxidation slowly turned it into the green landmark we know today. The same chemical process that turns old pennies green. Shiny brown for 20 years before oxidation turned it into the green landmark the world recognizes. Symbols change. They also get their names applied to the wrong part of the structure, like this one. Big Ben is not actually the name of the tower. The tower's official name is the Elizabeth Tower. Big Ben specifically refers to the Great Bell inside it, a 13-ton bell that's been informally given credit for the whole building since the 1850s. A 38-minute war. 2 presidents dying on the same July 4th. 7 prisoners at the Bastille. A statue that spent 2 decades the wrong color. And a bell whose name now belongs to an entire tower. 5 history facts, all about the gap between what something actually is and what we decided to call it. Now we leave the history books and look up. One moon in our solar system has rivers, lakes, and rain, just not made of water. Titan, Saturn's largest moon, runs an entire weather cycle made of liquid methane and ethane. At minus 179 degrees Celsius, that's the only liquid that can exist there. Titan running a full weather cycle on liquid methane at minus 179 degrees. Space rewriting what chemistry and climate can mean. And here's what humans sent into that same space in 1969, with barely any hardware at all. On this day in 1969, humans landed on the moon using a computer weaker than a calculator. The Apollo guidance computer had about 4 kilobytes of RAM. Engineers compensated with extraordinarily precise programming. Humanity reached another world with less computing power than your kitchen drawer holds right now. The moon landing on 4 kilobytes. Engineering precision making up for hardware that fits in a drawer. And back on Earth, here's a geography fact that most textbooks still get quietly wrong. Antarctica is technically the largest desert in the world, not the Sahara. A desert is defined by low precipitation, not heat. Antarctica receives less rainfall than almost anywhere on Earth, making it the driest continent and the largest desert at roughly 1.5 times the size of the Sahara. Antarctica, the world's largest desert by the actual scientific definition. Geography redefined when you apply the real rule, not the assumed one. And here's another scale fact. This one about a country with a number that doesn't fit in any mental image. Canada has more lakes than the rest of the world combined. Over 2 million of them, carved out by glaciers during the last ice age. No other country comes close. Canada with more lakes than the rest of the world combined. Scale that keeps refusing to fit neatly into a picture. And for something that fits into 90 seconds, here's the world's shortest commercial flight. The world's shortest commercial flight lasts under 90 seconds. It connects 2 tiny islands in Scotland just 2.7 kilometers apart. With a strong tailwind, the flight has landed in as little as 47 seconds. Methane lakes on Titan. 4 kilobytes landing on the moon. Antarctica being the actual largest desert. Canada owning the world's lakes, and a flight shorter than most songs. 5 facts from space and Earth that somehow didn't make it into standard geography or science classes. To close, 2 inventors, 2 foods, and a recipe changed quietly over 100 years ago. The man who invented the Pringles can is buried inside one. Frederick Bauer designed the can in 1966. When he died in 2008, his family placed some of his ashes inside one, exactly as he'd asked. Frederick Bauer, a life's work becoming a final resting place, quite literally. Invention and identity completely merged. And here's another inventor whose creation outlasted almost every other communication tool on Earth. One designer invented the emoji, and it's now in MoMA. Shigetaka Kurita created the first 176 emoji in 1999 for a Japanese phone carrier. Today, emoji appear in over 90% of online conversations worldwide. The original set is preserved at New York's Museum of Modern Art. One designer, 176 emoji, now used in over 90% of online conversations worldwide. And here's a food that arrived in Europe with a completely different reputation and kept it for nearly 200 years. Tomatoes were called poison apples in Europe for nearly 200 years. Wealthy households eating off pewter plates got sick, but it wasn't the tomato. It was lead leaching from the plates into the acidic fruit. Poorer families eating off wooden plates were fine the entire time. Lead in pewter plates. Tomato blamed for 2 centuries. Sometimes the wrong thing carries the reputation, and here's a structure that held its title for so long that record itself becomes the fact. The Great Pyramid held the world's tallest structure record for 3,800 years. Completed around 2560 BC, nothing humans built surpassed its height until Lincoln Cathedral in England, around 1311 AD. Almost 4,000 years undefeated. The Great Pyramid, tallest structure on Earth for 3,800 years, unmatched until a cathedral in England. Some records take that long to fall. And we're closing with a brand whose name is a literal ingredient list for what used to be in it. The original Coca-Cola formula contained real cocaine. Pharmacist John Pemberton's 1886 recipe included coca leaf extract, legal at the time and literally half of where the name comes from. It was removed from the formula around 1903 as public concern grew.
15 facts.
History, space, and the things hiding inside the labels and landmarks you already know. The shortest war lasted 38 minutes. 2 presidents died on the same July 4th. The Bastille held 7 people. The Statue of Liberty spent 20 years the wrong color. Big Ben is just the bell. Titan has methane lakes. Apollo 11 ran on 4 kilobytes. Antarctica is the world's largest desert. Canada has more lakes than the rest of the world combined. The shortest flight lasts 90 seconds. Frederick Bauer is buried in his own invention. One man designed 176 emoji in 1999. Tomatoes were blamed for lead poisoning for 2 centuries. The Great Pyramid held its record for 3,800 years. And Coca-Cola's name is a list of what it used to contain, including something quietly removed in 1903. History doesn't simplify. It gets more interesting the closer you look. Subscribe for a new fact every day. See you tomorrow!